to these topics of last week's performances, we got to watch a little Kaylee White.
We're giving the deal on Kaylee White. You remember the name because you're not going to forget the dance moves. Can we cue this little
now they
sensation?
know they invincible. Hey.
Stand by. Stand by. Trust me, you want to stand by because it's
amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Here's
pretty
the
much
Deal. And,
on point with
before we're going to get
one of my
off
favorite
and
albums of the year.
Yes, just talk about how much you love that album right now.
Yes, Kendrick Lamar.
The album is called Damn with a period.
We're not getting paid for this plug, by the way. We're just like his album.
Okay, go ahead and reintroduce that.
I think we're ready.
Are we live?
Yes.
So
Right now we are?
here's the deal with Kaylee White.
And we're live again.
And
My left stroke just went viral. Right stroke with a baby.
girl knows what's up, man.
My
Like,
left stroke
I was
just
telling
went
Chez a little bit ago, and I'm like,
Right stroke with a
I'm 30 years old. I'm not as cool as this kid. I wasn't this cool when I was her age. Like, I don't think I can ever touch this level of coolness. She's got like the cornrows. She's got the red, the
Black.
eye red.
Or eye red.
The
I think it'd be
red.
eye red.
Yeah, she's way cooler than I am, and she's awesome.
I've probably watched that video on loop at least 30 times.
Yeah, and that's the great thing now on Twitter. If it's 6 seconds or less, it just loops automatically. So
Yeah.
you just keep it playing all. I actually wanted it to be a little longer. I wanted to see what she did with the whole thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was incredible. And
God, just like on point with like every single
Everything.
move. She knew all the lyrics. I was impressed.
I don't know
Big
how good of a
props.
softball player you are, Kaylee, but I have a little bit of advice. You know, if softball doesn't work out, like go do some break dancing, like get involved in some kind of dance group. I think you'll be all right with it. I think that's the second option B. I think you'd be all right. I don't know we don't know what team she plays for. I couldn't tell. So if you want to share your team, tweet at us.
I think an important question is, why do cornrows look so much cuter on like a little girl versus a human, like an adult?
Everybody, Chez is gonna have cornrows next Monday to start the show. That's what she's saying.
We should.
That's exactly
you know what
she was
we
saying
should do is
My
we
hair?
should make a bet. No, you can't do. Well, I guess we could do like extensions.
You guys don't know what you're in for.
Oh my
Wait,
God,
what's your
I would
bet?
die.
What's your
I would
bet?
die. I was gonna say if we bet on like possibly the SEC tournament or something like the World Series. I was gonna say loser wears cornrows or you get hair extensions.
I think we should throw Brittany into this as well. Brittany could pull off some cornrows.
Got thin hair, guys.
She might have to get some of that synthetic hair.
No matter what happens, all three of us will not even touch the coolness of Kaylee White. So
No, not even close.
But that's your viral post for the weekend that we're starting off with here today.
Yeah. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. Let's talk about the deal in college softball last week.
Got a lot going on. We're going to talk SEC. We're going to talk about Pac-12.
Yep. We got a little poll for you guys here today. We're polling, asking you who's going to win the SEC tournament. So that'll be on throughout our show. You guys can give us some input, but we're going to start talking Pac-12.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just going to bring this up. I wasn't here with the Hot 100 live show. I obviously was not on that, but I heard
You had to bring it up.
that Chez picked Florida State to win that series. And
I
Chez,
did.
tell us what happened in that series.
The Seminoles got swept by the Ducks and swept and run rolled the first game.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I was like wrong.
Like
I'm
so
right
wrong.
about one of them. I said Oregon would win one. They ended up winning 3.
Yeah.
Then I got a nice text message
Yeah.
the night of the sweep.
Tell us about that text message and who it came from and.
Well, I've got some good friends over at the U of O, and we have some friendly banter going back and forth, and just in disbelief that I picked Florida State to win the series. But you know what? I made the call, and I was wrong. I'm human. but ouch.
Yeah, and they gave you some shit about it for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
But Florida State wins with a walk-off over Florida.
Yes.
On Wednesday.
Thrilling game.
Great game. Fantastic. I think both the Florida State versus Florida games, like, they've been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got, you brought up the great point. They got to fly 3 hours. They got to fly across country. They got a 3-hour time difference, and then they got to take on a tough Oregon team. And
who's out for blood.
And they did not come with their A game because Oregon took all 3 games. First game, 11-0 in five innings.
It was a case of the sleeping bats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sleeping bat syndrome.
Sometimes it happens.
We saw that happen in Arizona, but we'll talk more about Arizona later. It's contagious.
FSU, 2 hits, 2 errors in that game. Megan Kleiss was pitching for Oregon. Meanwhile, Oregon, 12 hits. Savekis gets a home run. What happened game 1?
Florida State got destroyed. Pretty much. It's a friendly rivalry between Gwen Savekis and Megan King. The two used to be teammates in club ball. They know each other very well, and Savekis got the best of King in that situation. And I'll tell you what, Jenna Lilly had an outstanding weekend swinging the bat. And she's not having the year I would assume that she would have been anticipating. But I think collectively, 1 through 9 in this Oregon Duck lineup, they all contributed. To me, Danica Mercado is like their X factor.
Yeah.
And it's so nice having someone like the South Carolina transfer, Alexis Mack, in the lineup who you can move to the 1 spot, you can move to the 9 spot. And she creates so much havoc for the opposing defense. They've got a synergy on offense that I really like, a good balance of power, speed, gap-to-gap power, and home run power with Udria.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Oregon's offense. They're batting .324 as a team. They have a .477 slugging percentage. Here I go with the numbers. Nikki Udria is batting .415, 10 home runs, 44 RBIs. And then Alexis Mack, the transfer you mentioned, batting .404, 20 stolen bases. Like, that's some serious speed. And then Danica Mercado, their X factor, batting up around 400 at .381 and 22 stolen bases. So they've got everything, like you said, gap-to-gap power, they've got speed, they've got everything. It's a really dangerous offense. And they took care of one of the best teams in the country handily.
I think one thing that I'm like thinking about, like we come in here and we make predictions every week, but it is like so wildly unpredictable.
It is.
It's like, yeah, like maybe I was wrong about this one, but did I anticipate UCLA like destroying Oregon in the first couple games of their series after going undefeated for that long period of time? No. Did I anticipate UCLA destroying Arizona in the first game? I mean, it's just, we're at the point of the season where if you're a top 15 team, anybody could beat anybody.
Yeah. Whereas last year it was like if you were a top 8 team, like the top 8. We weren't missing so many predictions week in, week out. I think it's just way more competitive, the top 15 teams this year.
And this is hard. This is a difficult part of the season where it's just injuries set in. You're just exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. I mean, I've been in those games where it's just extra inning games and you're just such on an emotional high from either winning or losing that game. It's really hard to recover. And I'm not saying that as like a cover up. It's just like we're human. We can't be on every single day, every hour, every minute. It's just, I'm hoping for the Florida State Seminoles that they get some recovery time because they've been, in my mind, have been through a lot in the last, few weeks.
Yeah, they've had some tough series. I think they're going to be just fine. I think it was just, an off weekend for them. Like you said, case of the dead bats. Like it just happened because they had 2 hits in game 1. They only managed 3 hits in game 2, and they had 2 more errors. Oregon took that game 3-1. The freshman pitcher for Oregon, she was our Hot 100 number 4 player, Maggie Balint, taking on Burroughs, and she gets the win. She had 7 Ks in that game against a really strong Florida State offense.
What I will say was I think we saw a glimpse of really how good this University of Oregon pitching staff can be. They've got great diversity in their pitching staff with Kleist has such great, she has a great down ball, a good changeup, and then you mix that with Maggie Ballant, who's got a great up ball, and she's developing her changeup. And then you've got Miranda Elish, who has a little bit of everything. And I think right now we're seeing Elish become more settled. It could have been a bit of a case of the nerves in the beginning, but I'm really excited to see this young pitching staff go far. I think Oregon, I think they have a really bright future. They're a really young team, like you said, very talented. I think the question this year with Oregon is, are they going to be able to kind of close the deal? Because they have these great seasons year in, year out, and then they don't make the Women's College World Series. And I'm sure that's something lingering in the back of their minds. Yeah, you might get a text message about it. Yeah. You know what? Since you're talking about it. Since I dish it, I'll take it. If I dish it, I'll take it. But then I'll dish it right back because that's just who I am. That's how you dish. That's the deal on dishing. I will say, I think they're going to make Women's College World Series this year. I'll say that to everybody. Oregon, you're going to make it this year. I know I was on the fence. I know I was poo-pooing them a little bit at the beginning of the season with like a soft schedule and everything, but I think my concern was with how young they were and can they compete week in, week out with their youth, and I'm sold on it. I think you're going to see them. Chez is not. You might get a text message. Yeah, do it. So I'll wear cornrows if you make it to the World Series. She said it, folks. She said it. You're going to see her in cornrows. Game 3, Oregon dropped it in extras. It was a tough game, 2-1. FSU. Florida State dropped it. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Florida State dropped a tough one. They had another error that game. They managed 8 hits, but they had another error. That's 5 errors in 3 games for Florida State. And if you remember their first game in Women's College World Series last year, they had a ton of errors 10 as well. 10. Yeah, that was unbelievable. So I think it's just uncharacteristic. I think it's an uncharacteristic weekend for them. But Oregon took it. Oregon showed up. Yeah, they did. Oregon showed up. Moving on. Arizona. Man, I did not call this one either. I did not either. Call this one. But okay, you go first, and then I'll throw in my 2 cents. Yeah, I mean they didn't get swept, but they lost the series to UCLA, who has been struggling a bit this season as well, and Arizona hasn't really been struggling at all. And what's so surprising to me is UCLA blanked them in both of their wins. 8-0, they run-ruled them first game. They run-ruled them. UCLA run-ruled Arizona. And Danielle O'Toole got the start. And then UCLA won 6-0 in game 2. So props to UCLA on shutting out a very explosive Arizona offense 2 games in a row. And then the last game, Arizona looks a little bit more like themselves. They win 7-2. What's your take? What's your deal? What's the deal? Historically, UCLA has won most of the series against Arizona. It's a long history. Yes, it is. Is it surprising? Absolutely. Literally, the Wildcats have been steamrolling teams all season. And then look what happens. UCLA, can we predict this? Absolutely not. Last week, they just lost to Stanford. Yeah. And then, for them to go in and then take 2 out of the 3 against Arizona is kind of baffling. But it's true UCLA fashion. You cannot count them out. They do it every single time, Sarah. Yeah, but they lost to the team in last place. And then they come back the next weekend and beat the first place team. Yeah, it's true UCLA fashion. And they're keeping you on their toes. They are. On your toes. And I'm definitely on my toes. And
I mean, they as a program, like you said, historically, I don't think you can talk about UCLA without talking about their history as a program and understanding that they know how to win. Mm-hmm. So even if they lose to a 2-19 team in the Pac-12, they know how to beat the top team. It's just a matter of consistency for them. Like I don't know.
They find a way. I don't have an answer. All I have to say is don't count them out.
Yeah, true story.
Like even for the World Series.
In the 8-0 game, Bubba Nichols, who we ranked number 2 Hot 100 player, hits a walk-off 3-run bomb. So UCLA had 8 hits, 2 doubles, 1 home run from Bubba Nichols, whereas Arizona, on the other hand, 2 hits, 2 errors. God, I feel like I'm reading Florida State stats from Oregon. And it was Garcia versus O'Toole, which is surprising. I mean, I'm surprised O'Toole, because she got the win in Game 3. She just didn't have a strong outing that first game. Talk us through Game 2. The UCLA.
Another blank.
It wasn't a run rule.
No, but still 6-0 UCLA. And excuse me. Just the back-to-back shutouts is what's really surprising in this series, especially with such an explosive offense that Arizona has, and for them to get shut out by UCLA's staff, who has shown glimpses of greatness, but for the most part has been pretty inconsistent. We've seen them give up a ton of runs over the course of the season, and it's a bit surprising. But Arizona fires back in Game 3, winning 7-2, and Jesse Harper hits a grand slam. Arizona puts up 9 hits, which we're more accustomed to seeing. And O'Toole gets the win, which would seem like the typical game for Arizona. At the end of the day, Arizona still clinches the Pac-12 championship. And then with Oregon, with the rocky start, still finds themselves at a potential number two spot in the Pac-12.
Yep, Arizona 18-6 has clinched, like Ches said. Oregon is sitting at 14-6, number 2, a game ahead of. Take a guess, folks. Who's third in the Pac-12? Just take a wild guess.
It's the U.
It's the Utes at 13-6. So they're one game back from Oregon.
Pac-12 still not finished yet. They still have 1 weekend to go. They don't have a tournament, so they'll continue their Pac-12 play. So we'll see how the number 2 and the 3 spot shake up, because you still have Washington and UCLA tied with a 13-8 record.
Yeah, but when you're looking, that's the record. But when you look at RPI, Oregon is definitely at the advantage because they're number 2 overall, and then Washington sits at number 6, and then you don't get Utah until number 16. So Oregon definitely has the advantage.
I mean, and it's all
on the RPI.
When you look at the top 10 in RPI, let's see, we've got Oregon. This is coming from the Pac-12. Oregon at 2, UCLA at 4, Arizona at 5,
Washington at 6.
Washington at 6. So 4 out of the top 10 spots. Pac-12.
Pac is back, folks. We said it. The Pac is back. Rounding out that top 10, Florida's in there. Florida State, A&M, Tennessee, and then Baylor actually comes in at number 10. So interesting shakeup. Like you said, we got one more week with the Pac-12 because they don't have a tournament. So we'll see how everything shakes out. So that's the Pac-12. Moving on to the SEC, folks. We're just going to tell you not to sleep on Tennessee, because A&M may have done that this weekend, and it didn't work out. Didn't work out too great for them.
So Game 1, Tennessee drops the first game against Texas A&M. Tennessee with 6 hits, A&M with 5. Harrington gets the win over Kalen Arnold, who's having a great season at Tennessee. Game 2, 8-4. And then Game 3, 8-6. Tennessee takes the last 2 wins, and that pulls them into the number 3 spot in the SEC.
they're tied. They're both 16-7. They needed those 2 wins to kind of tie up. So they're both sitting at they're tied for 3 and 4.
They are tied, but Tennessee gets the number 3 seed
right
in the SEC tournament.
Right. So yeah, it's I think I would have. I didn't expect both Tennessee and Texas A&M to be as high this year as they are. And I would have expected Texas A&M to take that series.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of them dropping games that they really shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And they're not, it wasn't like on a consistent basis, but it was sporadic enough for 7 losses.
Yeah.
In a relatively, if we want to say easy, schedule for the SEC that Texas A&M had. And then Auburn pulls into the number 2 spot in the SEC, one of the highest seeds that they've ever received in program history.
And then obviously Florida sitting atop 20-3, and then Alabama rounds out the top 5, 12-11 with a 12-11 record in the SEC, and LSU and Kentucky are both 12-12. It's just mind-boggling. Yeah, I think the most surprising, though, folks, the most surprising is Georgia is in last place at 6-18 in the SEC. No chance I would have called that this season at all. Things are getting shaken up.
Yeah, I think a couple things, just comments about the SEC in general. I think we're going to see that little middle chunk, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, that group, and I'm going to even put Arkansas in that mix, are going to become much stronger in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. All 4 of those programs have been pretty aggressive on the recruiting front, and I think we're going to see some interesting changes in the SEC over the next 5 years.
I think they've actually I think we're actually just starting to see some of those changes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of evening out. You had historically, the top 5 teams that you thought were definitely going to be contenders in the postseason, and I think it's starting to blend a little bit more. And I think you're right. You're going to see even more blending the next 2 or 3 years, coming from those kind of 8, 9, 10 spot teams. But I don't know. How's our poll coming along? We're asking you guys about SEC tournament, and we're going to break it down.
Yeah, just tell us, just write your comments in the comments section and let us know who you think's going to take the SEC tournament. And that's what we're going to get into next. So we've got the SEC tournament that's starting on Wednesday, and this is going to be, I'm going to pretty much have those games on all week. But game 1, Arkansas versus Alabama. Winner goes on and plays Texas A&M on Thursday. Game 2, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. So Ole Miss took the series, mm-hmm. which was not that long ago. Winner goes on and plays Florida. Brutes. Game 3, South Carolina versus Kentucky. The winner goes on and plays Auburn. Mm-hmm. And in game 4 on Wednesday, Missouri and somebody else who I didn't write down. Let's see here. Missouri, versus LSU. And the winner goes on and plays Tennessee. Now, I think Tennessee's got a little bit of a rough draw.
They do. Because Missouri or LSU, whoever wins that, could give Tennessee a run for their money. That game 4, that whole bracket, I think that's a crapshoot. Like, that could be anybody, any given day. I know Mizzou they're not having the season they would have liked. They're sitting at 7-16, but they're a good team. They know how to win. LSU is sitting at 500, and they seem to be a little streaky, spotty. I think anybody could win that. And then with Tennessee 16-7, it's anybody's game.
So last year, Auburn wins the SEC tournament.
Right.
Great tournament. LSU had a strong performance as well. Who's going to take the SEC tournament this year?
Florida.
Ew, without hesitation.
Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, no hesitation on that one. Brittany, who's going to take the SEC?
I don't know.
happened with Auburn? You know,
just gonna give it. Auburn's
Ooh,
gonna back
Brittany's
to back
going
it.
with Auburn.
All right, Ches.
This might sound crazy.
It's crazy, folks. Just wait for it.
I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Oh, you're giving it to Tennessee.
I'm giving it to Tennessee.
Wow.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
No, it's going to be Florida.
Tennessee, they took one from Florida. There's potential there.
Florida.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. But tell us what you think. Write who you think is going to win the SEC tournament. It looks like, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Jovan Rodriguez Lopez says Tennessee. And
hey, you got
I'm going to give
another
a little shout out
Look at that.
for the Vols. So, yeah, really excited to see the shakeup that's going to come this weekend. And it's not only the SEC tournament, but Big Ten tournament. And before we wrap up the show, we've got the Hot 100 starting today. We are doing
folks.
The 2021 Hot 100, and that starts today. It will run this week and next week. We've pretty much gone through over 400 nominations for the 2021 Hot 100. It's taking us a week longer than usual because of the number of nominations that we've received, but we've done tons of research and we're really excited to reveal who's going to be in the Hot 100.
Yeah, I think this is the most expansive Hot 100 we've ever done. Just like you said, over 400 nominations. We had to bump it back. Like, this is going to be a big one, folks. Get excited. It starts today. Next Friday, you'll find out the top 10. So stay with us.
Yep. And don't forget to join us next week for Here's the Deal as we recap the SEC tournament, Big Ten tournament, and what to look forward to come, Selection Sunday, I think the following weekend, which is, it's about to get real.
That's the deal. It's about to get real. That's the deal, folks.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. Peace.